Okay, welcome back to the channel, you guys. Welcome back to Drawing with Michael. I am, of course, your host and artisan, Michael. I tried to post a video yesterday. Actually, I tried to edit a video on my Mac. And unfortunately, after I upgraded my operating system to Catalina, my iMovie, because that's what I do my videos on, edit typically because it's easy and fast and I don't really have to think too much. It completely messed up. So my apologies. I'm trying to get it worked on to where I can post that video I did for you guys yesterday. Anyway, today we're doing Ron Weasley. I'm not going to go too in detail with Ron. He's not really my favorite character, to be honest with you. I don't know. There's certain characters that I like. There's certain characters that I could care less about. And he's just one that doesn't really talk to me in particular, per se. But hopefully you guys are enjoying Inktober and seeing all the really great drawings that have been out there by many different artists. I've been really, watching, people do their work and honestly be inspired by the wonderfulness that is Inktober and what it really does for the masses, right? And how it can help you kind of level up your skills, not only digitally, but also traditionally. I've seen quite a few people that actually have been doing digital work for Inktober. And I'm sure that's, depending on what your capability is, that's fine, just as long as you're drawing. So anyway, and that kind of, I'm segueing, obviously I'm segueing to a subject that I think kind of needs to be addressed. I have, I've mentioned it a couple times in my videos, in the fact that, I am a professional illustrator and I use digital tools a lot. And I've reviewed quite a few products on this channel before, and I've talked a little bit, very briefly about digital illustration in general and my thoughts on it and where I think it's going and basically understanding what it is and why it's important in the context of your career. So I basically started out this way, right? I started drawing on paper using the traditional tools, pencil, graphite, chalk, China marker, pastel, ink, acrylic, oil, you name it. I was basically all in terms of, all of these traditional methods. I graduated in 2000 from Ringling College of Art and Design in Sarasota with a BFA, that's Bachelor of Fine Arts in illustration. And there is a difference, by the way, in BFA and BA. Bachelor of Arts, there's at least maybe 10, 15, even sometimes 20 additional hours to get your Bachelor of Fine Art. And in that, you can have some specialty classes. And anyway, I digress. What I'm trying to basically say is I started out in this wonderful world of traditional art, painting and doing all the wonderful things that are involved with what we associate being an artisan is, a skilled creator of artwork images, that are quote unquote, in the real world. So you have to manipulate real materials. You have to understand the dynamic of your real world versus the 2D world, and all of these things that, that I learned and I carry through my career. Then, back, years and years later, even in 2000, digital illustration was, I don't want to call it in its, I guess it was kind of in its revolution infancy, right? You had some people that were embracing the digital world and some people that were, just coming on the scene. And it was one of those deals where even though the digital, some Wacom products were out there, I hadn't really used a lot of Wacom products previous to that. And there weren't really a lot of digital, tools that were out there in terms of just, cost that I was able to get. I went down and got a Wacom tablet, a small Wacom tablet, the Intuos, and I'm sure they had Cintiqs back then as well, but I didn't have the money to afford one. Basically, what I'm saying, as a traditional artist, I was not interested in digital tools because, from my perspective, I didn't really understand why I needed to have that particular skill set in me. And plus, and I've said this before on my channel, when you deal with digital tools and especially software, there's a learning curve. There's time that you have to spend in learning the software. And, it basically stops you from being creative. Now, once you learn the software, then the tool is fantastic. But at that time, I was very impatient. I wanted to be an animator. And I kept telling myself, I'm like, I don't need this. I don't want to do this. I remember having a Photoshop class. I don't remember who taught it. But that's, that was one of the requirements at Ringling when I was there, was the fact that I had to learn digital tools. And, I took my Photoshop class. I did good. I learned the program in such a way that I understood the dynamic of layer compositing. I learned how to fix pictures. I learned how to do all of that stuff, not by so much the teacher per se, but just by getting in there and kind of forcing myself to use the tool on a daily basis. But what inadvertently happened, which probably happens with a lot of people, I ended up kind of going a certain way with my illustration, and I kept to my traditional roots. This is what kind of slapped me in the face and kind of made me realize how important digital was, digital illustration, digital art is whenever I got into the professional world. In the professional world, especially in the industry that I was in at that time, was apparel and industrial design. So they all used computers, and I was still kind of trotting along with my sketchbook and doing stuff. And what I noticed very quickly was the fact that the digital tools allowed the artists that I was seeing to go very quickly and modify their work quickly. And I basically, had to play catch up. It took me a little while to play catch up to really get in and hone those digital skills to where I can actually use them in a professional way. And basically what I'm trying to say is, by beating around the bush while I'm illustrating this, is the fact that, in my opinion, based upon my experience, the digital world is a tool. The traditional world's a tool. But the reality is whenever you start getting into changing stuff and getting in and changing colors and modify things and using the tools of the digital artist, it just made sense for me at that particular point in time to kind of start adding that digital world, to my, I call it the artistic tool belt. So, I still did traditional work. I still painted. I still did murals. I still did all that stuff. But whenever it came to doing stuff at my job, I pretty much went all digital. Digital painting, illustration, vector work. I just started, really diving in and understanding why, I needed to add that to my repertoire. All the while, not stopping this. See, that's very important. You know, I don't want you guys to think that I would ever stop doing traditional work. And the reason I think that a lot of times you have digital artists that kind of poo-poo traditional guys and gals is because of the fact that they understand the other side of the professional equation. Now, are there professional artists that just go traditional? I'm sure there are, but it's getting harder and harder with, in my opinion, with the fact that, you know, it's not antiquated. You're not antiquated. You're not some jalopy that is, you know, if you're doing stuff traditional, you're not some jalopy. And jalopy is like a really antique car that's kind of broken down all the time. That's not you. That's not what I'm trying to get at. What I'm trying to say is don't poo-poo. If you're a traditional guy, if you're a traditional guy, you need to basically, in my opinion, if you want to be a professional, if you're in that professional realm, start kind of examining the whole digital world, right? See what you can do, because at the end of the day, it's just like a paintbrush. It's like digital is just like a paintbrush. Anything. You know, this right here is just basically a tool. You know, I can go in, I can use my Apple Pencil, I can draw on it. I can do, you know, in the different programs that are on here, you can go in and emulate stroke and style and different textures and stuff. But the reality is, you know, whenever it comes to having that feeling, nothing's going to replace this, in my opinion. And having that traditional feel, that pressure, I can feel the tooth of the paper. I can determine, you know, pressure sensitivity. There is no latency. There is none of that whenever it comes to traditional work. So I just need, you know, I need you guys to understand that even though I do a lot of quote unquote digital work, you guys need to understand that I kind of treat it the same in a way. You know, I look at digital work, I look at traditional work, and to me it's art, right? Artwork. It's art. And, you know, I would never assume that one is quote unquote better than the other. Now, does one cater to a specific type of business model? Sure. You know, if you want to do certain types of work, you know, traditional work takes a little bit longer. And even though it does take longer, what I've really especially noticed lately is the fact that whenever you're done with a traditional piece, you have something, right? You have something you can display, you can hang, and that is important in my opinion. So I've been chatting along here, illustrating this. Getting this done for you guys. This is Ron Weasely. So anyway, that was kind of my shtick for today. I just wanted to make sure that everybody knew from my viewpoint that I don't poo-poo traditional. I love traditional. It's one of those deals where I think that as part of your art journey, you should examine all of the avenues of art and how to create art. You know, I do 3D work. You know, I'm not going to sit there and say 3D is the bee's knees. It's the best thing since sliced bread. You know, it's actually been quite challenging for me, which I love. I love having a challenge. And it's got its pluses and minuses, just like any other format. But, you know, fine art has its place in the world, you know, in terms of the business model. And I think that, you know, as an illustrator, a lot of times I'm so used to being on the side of business that a lot of times, you know, there's romance involved with art, right? You create art, you create these things that create feeling. And a lot of times it's one of those deals where I look at fine artists and sometimes, you know, switching gears, even though it is art. I mean, at the end of the day, I am a fine artist at heart. I just create art like this to make money. who knows, at the end of, or even at the latter part of my artistic journey, and I've said this before, creating artwork, for sale, whether it be a canvas, whether it be a sculpture, is something that I'm probably going to endeavor to be, you know, which kind of happens, I think, to a lot of illustrators. They end up having their life and working so much for somebody else, and then suddenly they realize, gosh, why did I get into this business to begin with? So art to me is art. Drawing is drawing and creating, and that's where I'm really coming from. There isn't any particular, there isn't any particular facet of illustration or fine art or digital art that I really love more than the other. I love it all. 3D work to me is challenging. Do I love it yet? No. This has always been kind of my home, right? Drawing traditionally, figuring out, loving the paper and doing the things that, I need to do to make these wonderful pictures come to life. So what I'm going to do really quick for you guys is put you on timeless. What I really wanted to do is I wanted to stick an owl up here. His owl's huge. So I don't think that's going to work. So I'm just going to ink him really quick while you guys go on time lapse. And hopefully, I'm hoping that my video will work out, right? It's just one of those deals where, you look at it and you get kind of upset. I did the video yesterday and I had issues with it and it just didn't work. Okay, I'm going to put you guys on time lapse. Okay, so that's pretty much it. That's all I'm going to do for this one today. Definitely take my comments with a bit of grain, salt. Obviously, the way that I do things is not going to be the same way as everybody's going to do them. That's what works for me. Traditional, artwork is one of those things where it does have its place in the world, and I think that it's not respected enough. In terms of the business model, we've gotten to a place now, especially in the design process, where we kind of ignore that whole genre of creating wonderful artwork. And now it's just like business, 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 money, money, money. We have to get things out as quickly as possible. So I encourage you, if you are a digital artist, pick up a pencil, pick up a paintbrush, pick up those things that maybe you've never done before. I've spoken with a lot of digital artists that don't draw at all traditionally. Definitely pick up these classic tools, these things that have a romance to them that maybe we lost whenever we went into the digital realm. And those, those artists that are traditional only, you should definitely pick up a stylus. Try an iPad out. At the end of the day, they're just tools for creating art. I would never, want to sit here and say one is better than the other. Both of them have their benefits, and as always, I am one that continues to learn of the benefits of both genres of art creation. So anyway, that's my 2 cents for today. This is Inktober, day 9. I'm going to try to hopefully get this video posted to you guys ASAP. Like I said, I'm having issues with Catalina on my Mac. It's doing weird things. Hopefully my video card, it's not trying to do anything to my video card. You know, I think next time I won't use my Mac at all. I'll just use my my phone. The videos on my phone tend to turn out a little bit better anyway. Anyway, thank you guys for visiting the channel. Like and subscribe if you like what you see. We're doing Inktober, so stay tuned. There's always something to show. So we'll see you soon, guys. Bye.